Hello Redhawks, IDTT with another Canvas training tutorial. In this video we will be discussing the use of modules, both how to create and put together modules and why use of modules is best practice for organizing our course. So from our course we're going to go ahead and find the modules option in our course navigation menu, and we will be taken to the modules page. We can either click create new module or we can add a module at the top. Our module could be set up in a variety of ways. Some people like to set it up by unit of study. Some people set them up on a weekly basis of here's all the things that are going to be covered in class for this week. Some might set them up by chapter. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The key is consistency and making sure that students can follow along with why things are structured the way they are. I would say the most common is either by unit or chapter or by time frame, usually on a week-to-week basis, because you kind of know what's going to be covered in a week, what's going to be assigned, what's going to be discussed. So you can put all that stuff together. Then a student can go to the module, see exactly what they're supposed to do in the order that they should be doing things in, and make things real easy. So we're just going to go ahead and call this Unit 1, and then we're going to add the module. Now the module on its own does not contain anything. We would go through and add whatever we needed to add to the module. So we might go through and start with a page we created that has all of our information in our agenda. So I would go through and find my pages, find the page I wanted to add, and add that. I might say the next thing I want them to have is a link to an assignment. So I would go in to my assignments, and maybe I have an assignment I created called Introduction. For week 1, day 1, I can then use the indent feature so they kind of know, like it makes it a little bit of an outline. See that, okay, do this, and then this is kind of attached. So let's add another item to our module, and let's say I want to add a discussion board. So when I go to my discussion boards, there's nothing here yet because I didn't create them. So there's two ways of putting together your modules. You can either go through and create all of the actual assignments and pages and everything that you want to implement so everything could be made. Then you could add it into the module in the order you wanted it to be. Or maybe you just want to put the module together and kind of get everything built, everything named, then go back and add the content to all those items later on. That's what you see when we go to discussion. So I'm going to say I want to create a new topic. Maybe I want to say this discussion board is to introduce yourself, so a place for students to tell a little bit about themselves. And then I want to add that 2 levels in because I want them to look at the agenda, go through the introduction assignment, and then also go through and do the discussion board to introduce themselves. It'll put that there, but when I go back to, say, the assignment, you'll see that the assignment already exists. It has some generic directions and some due dates assigned to it. If I go back to my modules and click on my discussion board, you'll see that there's nothing here yet. So I might want to go in here and edit the assignment and put in a little bit more detail about what I want them to say, like what kinds of things do I want them to share, how long this needs to be, if I need them to reply to another student, things like that. So I can go through and add things in modules there as well. So you can continue to add as you see fit, and then once you have one finished, you can go in and add a second module. And on this one, before we click add, we're going to explore a few of these other options we have. So I can set this so that if I don't want all of the course content available for students to look at, like if I don't want them working ahead for some reason, I can set it so that maybe this doesn't open up until the Sunday before the second week of class. So I could go through and say, okay, if this was the first week, second week, I can have that open up at 7 a.m. on the day before class starts. So if students want to kind of start to look and familiarize themselves for the week, they can, but obviously they might not need to. I can also add a prerequisite. So I might say that they need to go through and complete things within Module 1 and Unit 1 before they could move on and then have access to Module 2. So it gives you a little bit of control of how students access and see content if you want to do that. I'll go ahead and remove the prereq and turn this lock off for now. And then I would repeat my process over again. One thing to keep in mind about modules is that if everything in the module is published, that's fine, but if they try to access the module, it'll say they don't have access. Now, they might be able to get to these items in different ways by going to the pages link if you have that available, or the assignments link in the course navigation if you have that available for them to see, but they can't get there through the module. You have to make sure that you also publish the module as well. That's a very common thing that happens, and people get confused because they're sure they published everything, and they did. They published all the content of the module, but not the module itself. It's another way that you can control if they can get into certain things as well. Again, there's different ways to check to control how your content is released to students. If that's of interest to you, you might just want to have all of it available and they can access it as they need to. But that's how you put together modules. Again, best practice, it keeps everything organized for students. It helps them to see where they're supposed to start and then go to next. Make sure they've covered everything. But it is important that if there's something that, if you have them using that method of going through modules, that everything that you want done is in there. Nothing worse than, everybody missing an assignment that you had assigned. It exists, there's due dates on it, but you didn't put it in the module. If that's kind of how you want them to access information, you just got to make sure you double check that all the module components are there. As always, if you have questions, contact us at IDTT. Have a great day.